Good evening, everyone. We're just having some technical difficulties as we're getting started here, but we'll just get started in just a second. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good evening, everybody. Sorry, just give us 1 second. We're having some technical difficulties. We'll be starting the meeting in just a second here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Joe, while you're working that out, why don't we go ahead and let you can do a quick intro and we'll let Director Gomez do her intro.
I'm just getting the screen shared here, Mona.
You got it? Okay.
Yes, just give me 1 second.
Yay.
Which slide are we seeing right now?
I see the presenter slide.
Okay. Okay.
And there you go. Yay.
Sorry about that, everybody. Welcome. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to East Bay Mud's community meeting on the Lafayette Reservoir Tower safety upgrade. So I was going to say, as people begin to trickle in, we're going to get started with our presentation, but I am the one who's late, so I apologize for that. I'm Joe Volker. I'm a community affairs representative here with the East Bay Municipal Utility District in our public affairs office. I'm joined tonight by Associate Civil Engineer Andy Hawksworth, who is the construction project manager in our construction division, as well as Sam Gambino, who's an associate civil engineer. He served as the project manager during the design process of this project, and he's here with us tonight. And we're also joined by Recreation Area Ranger Supervisor Han Barrett Liu for the Lafayette Reservoir. And these are just part of East Bay Mud's team who's going to be guiding us through this project. I'll be guiding us through tonight's presentation, but all of us will be available for question and answer at the end. So with that, let's get started. So I do want to get into a few quick logistics for tonight's meeting. Tonight's meeting is being recorded, and by attending, you are consenting to being a part of that recording. We're recording tonight's meeting so that it can be posted on the project's webpage. This will allow anyone who could not attend to watch it later and stay informed. So if you are watching in the future on YouTube, thank you. Please comment, like, and share this video so more people can find it later and learn about this project as well. If you think of a question during the Q&A, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen at any time. East Bay Mud staff will be monitoring questions throughout this meeting and will be responding live to questions as they come in. Frequently asked questions or common questions we receive will be held and read aloud at the end by East Bay Mud staff during the Q&A session. And one quick favor, if you do have a question, please ask it. There's a good chance that someone might be watching in the future and have the same question, and it could help them too. So with that, let's get started. So here's what we're going to cover tonight. We'll start with a welcome from East Bay Mud's board president and Ward 2 director, Luz Gómez. From there, we'll zoom out briefly and talk about the Lafayette Reservoir within the larger East Bay Mud water system and the upgrades underway at and around the Lafayette Reservoir. We'll then focus on the tower safety upgrade project, why it's needed, what the scope of work includes, and what construction will look like, including the schedule and anticipated visitor impacts. After that, we'll shift to recreation area updates so you can understand how park operations, events, and picnic reservations will fit into all of this. And we'll close with ways that you can stay connected with East Bay Mud before opening it up for your questions. This presentation is really about walking through our construction schedule and explaining how we anticipate this work will impact the park experience. With that, I would like to welcome President Gómez for an introduction.
Thank you so much, Joe. I hope everybody can hear me okay. I'm not in the best of locations for joining this meeting tonight, but if you can hear me okay, that sounds good. Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Luz Gómez, and as Joe mentioned, I am the current president of the board of East Bay Mud. I represent Ward 2, which includes Lafayette. So Lafayette Reservoir is truly one of our most cherished spaces in the district. Since the 1960s, families have been hiking these trails and learning to fish along the shores and gathered for celebrations, including my own family. And we've enjoyed the open space that it provides. And today the reservoir welcomes, believe it or not, more than 1 million people each year. And that level of use speaks to how deeply the place matters to this community. So as your board representative, I take very seriously our responsibility to preserve both the recreational experience for everyone and the integrity of the water infrastructure that supports it. So over the past several years, I have spent more hours than I would like to count on reviewing the history and all the technical background of this facility, working closely with staff to ensure that we are making thoughtful and informed decisions about its future. And it has been a lot of work. The work you'll hear about tonight it reflects this ongoing commitment to maintaining a safe, resilient, and reliable system. And while continuing to keep the reservoir open and accessible to the public to the extent that we're able to. So obviously, whenever there's construction, especially with multiple projects happening at the same time, it can be disruptive, but our goal is to maintain as much access as possible and minimize the impacts whenever we can. We appreciate the community's partnership and patience and flexibility as we move forward with these projects. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. I really, truly appreciate it. I'm gratified to see how many of you came tonight on a weeknight. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And I'm here for you. I look forward to hearing if you have any questions. And with that, I will turn it over to Joe so we can continue with the rest of the slides. Thank you so much. And I'm going to mute myself.
Thanks, President Gómez. So in October, East Bay Mud held a community meeting to review several infrastructure projects taking place at or near the Lafayette Reservoir. Tonight, before we focus specifically on the reservoir tower safety upgrade, I'd like to first briefly revisit what was covered at that meeting to reorient everyone to the broader context of all this work. As many of you may know, construction is already underway at the reservoir as part of the wastewater system improvements project. You may have seen trenching or staging areas, equipment, or temporary access adjustments in recent months. That project is one of 3 major efforts occurring in this area over the next several years. I'll quickly walk through each of them so we're all starting from the same place before turning into the tower work in more detail. So as discussed at our October meeting, East Bay Mud is implementing 3 primary infrastructure projects at or near the Lafayette Reservoir between 2025 and 2031. We're working on 3 main projects: water treatment plant reliability improvements, wastewater system upgrades at the reservoir, and the tower safety upgrade project. Each project serves a different function within East Bay Mud system, but all are focused on maintaining safety, reliability, and continued service for Lafayette and the surrounding region. Several of these efforts are already underway, and I'll just briefly walk through how those projects align before getting into the tower project here, schedule-wise. So this timeline shows how these projects align. Water treatment plant reliability work began in the fall of 2025 and will continue through 2031. The wastewater project also began in the fall of 2025 and continues through the fall of 2026, this fall. Preparation work for the tower has been underway since last summer, with major construction being scheduled for this spring 2026 through the fall of 2027. We're coordinating these efforts closely so that we can reduce overlap and limit impacts as much as possible at the reservoir and as well as the surrounding area. So as I've mentioned, in October, we held the community meeting to review these projects in good detail with each of the project teams. A recording of that meeting along with updated project materials is available at on our Lafayette projects webpage. If you were not able to attend or would like to revisit that discussion, the full presentation is posted online, and we will continue updating that page as work progresses. So if you scan this code, you would be able to get to this website where this recording is posted on our YouTube page, is embedded in the web page, and you can watch it there if you can't get enough community meetings for East Bay Mud. Okay. So now we're going to turn specifically to the tower safety upgrade project. I'm going to review the tower's history, the regulatory requirements driving this project, and the scope of construction. So the outlet tower was constructed in 1928 as part of the original reservoir system. Its purpose is to control reservoir water levels and regulate releases through the dam. While the dam was still under construction, ground movement occurred, and because of that, the final height of the dam was reduced from the original design. The dam was completed in 1933, and since that time, the reservoir has operated safely and reliably for decades. When the dam height was lowered, the tower remained at its original constructed elevation. As a result, today the tower extends approximately 40 feet higher than is necessary for the current reservoir's operations. That height difference is part of the historical context for the project that we're discussing tonight. The Lafayette Reservoir Dam itself remains operational and safe. The outlet tower, as we just discussed, was built nearly a century ago and was designed for a different dam height. Over time, seismic standards have evolved, especially here in California, and upgrades are required to meet today's criteria. The California Division of Safety of Dams oversees dam safety across the state and regulates all of East Bay MUD's dams, including Lafayette. They mandated this upgrade, and they have reviewed and approved the project plan that we're presenting here tonight. We've incorporated their input, and they'll remain involved throughout construction. This project is about safety. It's about maintaining the safety of the Lafayette Dam, protecting the reservoir, and ensuring the continued safety of our downstream communities. If you're interested in more of the technical history of the tower and the dam, how this design was developed, and how we worked with the community throughout this process, that information is also available on our project webpage. You can also watch the recording of the October 2025 community meeting, which I just walked through, for more detailed technical discussion about the project. So at a high level, this project includes safety upgrades required by the state to bring the outlet system up to today's seismic standards. The most noticeable change will be when we increase the resiliency and shorten the tower by about 40 feet so it better matches the current dam height. We'll also be upgrading the outlet conduits that run underneath the dam and move water from the reservoir. These are key parts of the outlet system and need to meet the modern seismic criteria as well. In addition, we'll be doing maintenance and equipment upgrades to help ensure that the dam and tower continue operating reliably for decades to come. Construction is planned to begin in the spring of 2026 and continue through fall of 2027. So now that we've covered the history and the need for the project and what the work will include, let's talk about what construction will actually look like and what visitors should expect at the reservoir over the coming months. So as I mentioned, construction will begin in spring of 2026 and continue through fall of 2027. This work is going to take place in several phases. The early phase will focus on site setup, staging areas, and access improvements to prepare for the work. The tower and dam construction is expected to occur during the summer through the fall of 2026, with additional work continuing into the fall of 2027 until the project is completed. Construction traffic will access the site from Highway 24 using the Acalanes Road exit, and there will be no hauling through downtown Lafayette. Work will generally occur Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. This gives you a visual of where the main construction areas for the tower project will be located around the reservoir. So I just wanted to put this slide on here so that you can see the total impact and the cumulative effect of what you're going to see when you come into the park. You're going to notice a staging and laydown area here, and you'll see just throughout the park there's stuff, and we're going to get into every specifics on what you'll see and how you'll feel it over the next coming slides, excuse me. So beginning next month and approximately the third week of March, construction crews and equipment will mobilize to the reservoir. During this initial phase, 2 staging areas will be established and a temporary field office will be constructed to support this project. Throughout March and continuing through the end of April, crews will be performing tree work in designated areas and widening the access road. Because of that road work, visitors may experience temporary delays when exiting the park. At times, crews will be flagging traffic to ensure it is safe to leave, and delays of approximately 15 to 20 minutes are possible during this period. I've left the wastewater collection system improvement footprint on this map as well, so that you can see that there will be 2 staging areas on top of the dam, as well as roadway expansion and a staging area. So this is really where you're going to first start to see our presence for the tower project at the Lafayette Reservoir from mid-March through the end of April, as well as the wastewater system improvements project is going to continue on until the fall of 2026. And so you're seeing this now month to month. This slide covers what visitors should expect to see during the tower and dam portion of our work between May and fall of 2026. So during this phase, a crane barge and other marine equipment will be visible on the reservoir. Work will take place both on the water and along the dam itself. The outlet tower will be fully surrounded by scaffolding and work platforms. Work will also occur along the face of the dam and on nearby structures connected to the outlet system. Visitors should expect an increase in weekday truck traffic as well as construction noise during normal working hours. There may also be temporary detours within the park while this work is underway. For those who would like to see the tower in its current form before construction progresses further, demolition is currently scheduled to begin in June 2026 on the tower. And so this is our final phase of this project from late 2026 through fall 2027. By winter 2026, East Bay MUD anticipates that the new operating house and the shortened tower will be completed. At that point, the most visible work at the center of the reservoir will be finished. Construction activity will then shift to the other side of the dam, towards the entrance gate side of the dam, where crews will complete remaining structural and system improvements. During this period, visitors should continue to experience traffic control and brief delays when exiting the park, similar to what was described earlier with the roadway expansion. We currently anticipate the overall project to be completed in the fall of 2027. This slide is intended to show what we anticipate will be the peak construction period at the Lafayette Reservoir between the spring and fall of 2026. Many of you have already seen activity related to the wastewater project when you visit the park. That work will be continuing through the fall of 2026. At the same time, the tower safety upgrade will be ramping up and becoming more visible throughout the site. So during this window, both projects will be active simultaneously. That overlap represents the highest level of construction activity that we expect at the Lafayette Reservoir. We know that this is a park that people use every day, so during this period, visitors should expect changes in parking availability, construction staging areas being erected on the dam, and potential weekday delays when entering or exiting the park. Before we move into a more detailed visitor impact, we wanted to give you a clear picture of what the overall footprint of the peak construction window will look like at the reservoir between spring and fall of 2026. There may be periodic part date vehicle closures at the Mount Diablo Boulevard entrance when large equipment is being mobilized into or out of the park. When that occurs, pedestrian access will remain open. We will provide advance notice at least 1 week ahead of any closures using electronic message boards and other communication tools. Near the tower, visitors can expect temporary changes. That includes an expanded buoy line, which is shown here, in the water for safety, as well as visible construction activity, noise during work hours, temporary fencing, and minor route detours around the work zone. And for anyone who would like more detailed or ongoing updates, please sign up for project alerts at eastbaymud.com/customers/alerts, where we'll be updating. So that gives us a clearer picture of what construction should look like at the reservoir. I'd like to now turn it over to Han Barrett Liu, our ranger supervisor of the Lafayette Reservoir. Han leads park operations there and can speak to how this work intersects with day-to-day activity at the reservoir. Han?
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm Han Barrett Liu, ranger supervisor here at Lafayette Reservoir. I've worked for EBMUD at Lafayette Reservoir for 14 years, for 10 years as one of its park rangers, and for the last 4 years as its ranger supervisor. I imagine that we've got a lot of folks online that I might know, so it's good to see you. And for those of you online who I haven't met yet, we hope to see you here at Lafayette Reservoir in the future. But good to be online with everybody tonight. Thanks for the slide there, Joe. We're looking at Lafayette Reservoir Recreation Area and some information about this reservoir and in particular the recreation area, the park. The recreation area has been open to the public since 1966. We've got a dedicated team of park staff that works 365 days a year to protect the water resource, to protect and manage the park's natural resources, and to provide for safe access to, like we were saying earlier, more than 1 million annual visitors these days. We, the park staff, manage and provide for safe public access throughout the duration of all Lafayette Reservoir projects. And while these projects may create temporary and limited restrictions to park use, they are being done in support of the facility and the recreation area and will ensure long-term public access to the park. Park access and recreational impacts. During construction, our reservoir will remain open for common recreational uses, including walking around the lakeside trail and the rim trail, hiking, fishing, and first come, first served picnicking. We've got some anticipated temporary impacts, which will include a change in parking availability. Some of the parking spots on the dam and in the upper parking lot will be used as staging areas for some of the work, so will be cordoned off for visitor parking. We will have limited trail detours and delays in work areas. We've already got some of those going on for the sewer replacement project. We expect to have some, although we don't yet know exactly what that will look like, we expect to have some related to the tower retrofit project. And we will, for the tower retrofit project, have some restricted boating access near the dam and outlet tower. That's going to look like an expanded buoy line compared to the buoy line that we already have out there at all times around the tower. That buoy line will get expanded a little bit, and so that will be restricted for boating. But we otherwise anticipate and expect to have boating open and available as usual. Oh, Joe, actually go back there in that blue box. The bottom right, we've got a little information about picnic reservations. We've suspended picnic reservations for the time being for the season in anticipation and while we wait for a more defined construction schedule. We are starting to get a more defined construction schedule and look forward to opening up weekend reservations by mid-March. That's because the work schedule for the tower project is expected to be on a Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. basis. So we're looking forward to opening up the weekend reservations coming soon. And as it says there, you can find more information on the website, ebmud.com/LafResPicnic. Thanks, Joe. All right, this slide relates to some of our special uses and special events, the common ones that we host at Lafayette Reservoir just about every year. And in some cases, we've hosted these special uses for decades. So some of the highlights here, the annual Rotary Club concert at the Reservoir, which is a community music event in late spring, the annual Reservoir Run, that's a Chamber of Commerce event the third week of every October, and our day camps. You see Roughing It Day Camps logo there. They've been at it for 53, if not 54 years at Lafayette Reservoir. I know Roughing It, you're online, you can let us know, along with a couple of other day camps that are commercial use and special use day camps at Lafayette Reservoir in the summertime. All right, and we're back to this visitor construction map, which is meant to illustrate just all the different things that some of which you're already seeing if you visit the reservoir, but which we'll expect to see work being done to moving forward. So again, a kind of a busy map there, and we know it's a busy park and that's going to make for a busy kind of front entrance parking lot, and kind of the starts of the trails heading in either direction will be busy, and there may be, again, we expect delays and detours, and appreciate your cooperation as we continue to try to keep the rec area open as much as is possible, so long as it is safe.
Thanks, Han. So before we wrap up and move to questions, I wanted to make sure everyone knows how they can stay connected as this project moves forward. If you have questions after tonight, please feel free to reach out to me directly. My contact information is here on screen. You could also visit ebmud.com/Lafayette Tower for detailed project information, schedules, and updates. We encourage you to sign up for East Bay Mud alerts at eastbaymud.com/customers/alerts. This is the best way to receive advance notice about construction activities, outages, and other important updates from East Bay Mud. And of course, you can follow East Bay Mud on all of our social media platforms for ongoing information and community announcements. We appreciate your time this evening and your continued patience as we complete this important project. And we're happy to take your questions.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah.
First question is, what is the goal or need for widening the road? Is it good to have a narrow? It's good to have it narrow to keep the speeds down. This question is coming from Robert.
Hi, Robert. Yeah, thank you for the question. So the reason that we have to expand the roadway on the exit road is because we're going to be using it as an entrance road, believe it or not, for the heavy equipment that needs to mobilize into the park for this project. As described in the work that we just went through, there's going to be a crane barge that needs to be built and a crane that'll have to be mobilized, as well as other heavy equipment. And in order to get up, if you can picture the park, in order to get up either of those driveways, they're windy roads. And so roadway expansion is how we're going to safely mobilize large construction equipment into the park. Thank you for the question, though. It's a good one.
Okay, Gil would like to know, will there be any additional parking near the entrance to enable more people to walk up when car entry and exit will be delayed?
Yeah, unfortunately, there won't be any additional parking. And I don't know if Han, you would want to expand on this, but as far as we would know, there's not really a safe spot in front of the reservoir for parking on either side of Mount Diablo Boulevard. And so it's not something that we've explored, and there isn't really space for an additional parking area near the reservoir. I don't know
Joe,
if that helps everything on.
that's accurate, Joe. So just outside of the park entrance is Mount Diablo Boulevard. That belongs to the city of Lafayette.
Yeah.
There isn't currently any parking available on the road sides of Mount Diablo Boulevard, at least on this block. A little bit further east, there is some street parking, and then there are neighborhoods with street parking, but we're not planning to expand any parking on East Bay Mud land for these projects. But there are various points of entry through which folks like to walk in, including some along the rim trail. So you could look out for those if in case you were interested.
Perfect. Right on.
Another question about the road. When will the
Yeah.
road expansion actually take place?
It will be taking place between the middle of March through the end of April. So that high impact period, that early initial period for this tower project is going to begin when our contractor mobilizes into the park for this project in March through the end of April. So there's not an exact date that we have yet on when that expansion will happen, but there's going to be advance notice inside the park about this.
Okay, we got a question about birds. Benna would like to know about the hundreds of swallows which return to nest every year in the tower. Where will they nest during and after construction? Can there be accommodations for them?
So we have Sam Gambino and we have Han Barilou here. So Han, I don't know if you wanted to address the naturalist question there about the swallows, and then how.
I appreciate the question, and we recognize that a lot of birds do nest on the tower, which is why you may have noticed we've installed some exclusionary bird netting for the time being in advance of the work that needs to be done. We've wanted to keep birds out so that they won't be disturbed if and when they nest. We've got birds that nest in all these crevices throughout the reservoir. I've got a swallow's nest right above where I park my car every day at work. So you can kind of imagine what my car looks like in the spring and summer. But yeah, I would expect, this is not, I'm by no means an expert on the matter, but I would expect that the swallows will hopefully find a good place to nest this season. And then once the tower work is complete, be able to return to nest, beneath the operating house there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sam, would you like to add anything?
No, that's good. Yeah, and there'll be see where the arches are on the picture there in the new control house where we're sort of mimicking the current window shape. Those are open air, but they're going to have a bird-friendly mesh there to keep birds from going inside the control house, but they'll be free to do their thing on the top and on the bottom and around it when it's done, just like now previously.
Yeah.
Okay, and now a question about fish. What will happen to the trout plants during the construction period?
Yeah, appreciate that question, Robert. We just had another trout plant, our 10th of the season yesterday, and we're expecting 2 more this season before trout planting is over for the year. Next year, we plant our trout when the water is cool enough in the wintertime, basically on an October through March schedule. And we expect to be able to plant trout, if not in the exact area where we're putting them now, somewhere nearby next year as well. So we're not planning to stop or suspend trout planting due to this construction project.
Okay. And James would like to know that once the retrofit is completed, are there any plans to raise the water level back to where it was many years ago?
Sam, do you want to take a crack at that?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. So right now we're on a restricted lower water level because of the DSOD mandate, the Division of Safety of Dams, the state mandate, but it'll be free to rise again once we're done.
So yeah, the water levels, the elevations will rise once this project is complete.
All right, and Karen would like to know where will the public exit when the road is being used by the construction trucks?
So you'll still exit through the exit road, where the expanded exit road. The reason why you should expect delays when you're trying to leave or enter the park during this period, especially that March through April period, is because we're going to be expanding the road, and the contractor will have a traffic flagger who will be holding traffic until it is safe for you to drive down that exit road again, meaning we've cleared it with equipment being mobilized up or whatever way we can. So there will be delays of leaving the park for about 15 to 20 minutes is what we expect right now.
Okay. And Mike would like to know, how long are the road closures expected to last? And is it temporary to bring equipment in, or multiple hours? And during the closures, will traffic both in and out of the reservoir be affected?
So there won't be any road closures throughout this project. I mean, there's a couple of things that could be in reference there, where there's a possibility that the entrance gate would be closed if we're mobilizing equipment in to the reservoir, and we need to keep the reservoir closed for safety for vehicle traffic to not be able to come in. We will post an advance notice a week before the reservoir it has this closure. It would be in a 6-hour consecutive window. We have up to 6 hours that we'll use. But there would be advance notice for that. If you're talking about the mobile, or while we're expanding the exit road, there will be times where both the entrance and the exit will be impacted while that expansion is going on.
Okay. On an earlier slide, it appears that failure of the tower would cause most of downtown Lafayette to be 30 feet underwater in a matter of minutes. I would expect this would cause many deaths and massive damages to the city. Why is it taking so long to get this project underway?
Sam, I don't know if you wanted to talk about
Yeah,
history.
the slide that showed the inundation map it's a state required map showing what would inundate if the dam were to fail. But the dam is safe. We do not expect the dam to fail. The issue with the tower is that if we lose the tower, we do not have the ability to move water in and out of the reservoir for our own operational purposes, or in the event of a storm where we would need to spill. So that inundation map was for a dam failure, which is an absolute worst case scenario.
Okay. And Bennett would like to know that when we're restoring the water levels, will the water rise fast, covering the marshes? And she's concerned about the birds and wildlife.
Yeah. Oh, Joe, you're muted.
Sorry, thanks, Hon. I was going to turn to you or to Sam. So there you go.
Yeah, and that's actually something that is being coordinated with California Department of Fish and Wildlife and with East Bay Mud's Fisheries and Wildlife Department, including our biologists. But that's something that we are thinking about as well. I'm again, this isn't exactly technical information, but I'm kind of always impressed by how much even a small storm might make a difference in the lake level. And something that I think is really cool about Lafayette Reservoir is that the watershed for this lake is the park boundary. Basically, the rim trail is the rim of a bowl. And the only way the lake is filled up is with rainwater that falls on this side of the rim trail and fills the lake. That being said, again, I'm constantly impressed by how a storm can make a visible difference in the lake level. It wouldn't raise particularly fast. I mean, nothing that we're not kind of used to seeing during storms, but we are, considering, of course, the islands that normally are underwater that have now willows, nearly mature willows, tule reeds, stinging nettle, and things like that on them. And yeah, that's something we are taking into consideration.
All right. Robert would like to know, following the raising of the water level, will it result in rerouting parts of the lakeside trail?
No,
No.
no, we don't anticipate that being needed at all for that. So no.
All right. That's all the questions I have for now.
I'll
Oh,
stop.
wait. Uh, where will the additional water, where will the additional water to increase the height of the reservoir come from?
Yeah, and Karen, thanks for the question. That's kind of the little explanation I was giving a moment ago. The water that fills this reservoir, all the water in this reservoir is rainwater that's collected right here on site. That's what would fill the reservoir over time, once the work is complete.
Okay. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes to see if there are any more questions.
Yeah.
Joe, while we're waiting, do you want to take a second to introduce some of the people who are working on this project?
Yeah, sure. Here on the screen, now that I've stopped sharing my screen, you can see that there's quite a few of us from East Bay Mud present, starting with our Director of Construction and Engineering, Serge Terentiev is on. Serge, thank you for being here. As well as Senior Civil Engineer Sean Tadero. Sean has been working on the Lafayette Tower project for a long time. You may have seen him in the community, as well as engineering manager Elizabeth Bialik, who has been working on the tower project for decades, and as well as you might have seen her in the community at the city council meetings as we've been discussing this project. So thank you all for being here. Oh, as well as Andrew Foster, Associate Civil Engineer with East Bay Mud in our construction division, and Public Affairs Director Kelly Zito is here as well. So we have quite the contingency of East Bay Mudders here to support you all in the Lafayette community throughout this project. Oh, and I'm sorry, Ben Townley is here as well. Manager of construction. How could I forget Ben? Hey, Ben. And Andrew Hawksworth, I mentioned as well. He's our project manager. Andy will be at the park. You'll see him. He's the project manager for both of our reservoir projects. So you will see a lot of Andy over the next several months at the Lafayette Reservoir.
Okay, we have one from Robert. Thanks, everyone. Good presentation and good luck with the project.
Thank you, Robert.
And Roger is echoing that, saying great presentation and thanks for your efforts.
Thanks so much, Robert and Roger. Thank you very much.
I'll just say thank you one last time for everybody for coming tonight, and I'm hopeful that everybody got all the information you needed. If you didn't, please reach out to Joe, and I'm also available as your representative.
Perfect. Thank you so
And
much.
Joe, I also put the link to the webpage in the chat, and you might want to drop your contact information in there too.
Sure, yeah.
Have a good
Yeah.
evening, everyone. See you in the park.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening. And I am putting my contact information here in the chat, but have a good evening. And you can find me and my contact information actually is posted on the Lafayette Tower Project webpage. So, and on every sign throughout the park. So any phone number you see on the park, you can call me. Have a good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for attending tonight's community
Thank
meeting.
you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.